Right? So not only is Hashem always talking to me, but Hashem is also speaking through me, right? That was the point that I wanted to make just now, that it's not just that things are happening to me, but when I really get into this place of Das, I can really get into a space where Hashem is speaking through me, which hopefully He's doing right now if I'm getting myself enough out of the way and allowing Him to speak through me. Okay, so that was the source I wanted to show you with Yirmiyahu. And having that consciousness, having that ability to bring Hashem into this picture, that's all we can take pride in. Right? That's the only thing that I can, quote unquote, pat myself on the back for. And finally, I want to share with you, not finally, the class is over, but just before we start talking about what does it mean to know Hashem, I want to just show you a beautiful piece from Nach. Also, so that was Yirmiyahu. This is from Yeshayahu. And again, why is this Das so important? And Yeshayahu, I didn't scan this for you because it's just one sentence, but I'm reading from chapter 11 in Yeshayahu, where he describes that this is going to be this is the siman, this is the sign of the Messianic era, right? And this is the whole famous chapter where it talks about that the wolf will live with the sheep, right, and the leopard will lie down with the kid, chule v'chule. And then the final sentence in that paragraph, it says, for the earth will be as filled with knowledge of Hashem as water covering the seabed, right? Or the Hebrew is ki mala'eh ha'aretz de'ah. There's that word again, de'ah, right? Ki mala'ah ha'aretz de'ah et Adonai k'mayim b'yam mechasim, right? So again, the more this Das, right, the more each of us individually we can learn how to plug into this Das, right, the Yeshayahu is pointing us to, this is how we know that Mashiach is coming. But the more of us that learn how to access this God consciousness, right, this God awareness, use these tools of God consciousness building, as I call them, right, the more we're able to do that, right, this is what's going to bring Mashiach in Yetzer Hashem. This is the sign of the Messianic era, when this Das is going to fill the earth as water covers the seabed. Okay? So hopefully I have done a good job of building up. That this idea, idea is not even the right word, this necessity of knowing Hashem, we have to get to the bottom of it. What does it mean to know God? Okay, so before I answer that question, any questions on anything I've said so far? We're good? Okay, Miriam, are you there? I don't know if I need to stop at 6:15 or if I can go a little further. If you're there, do a *6. Maybe you're listening to the recording. I'm gonna go for about another half hour, I think, if that's okay with everybody, because I really want to answer this question. What does it mean to know God? Now, I'm going to send out in an email. For a previous class, actually, someone just pop on because I feel like I'm talking to the air. You ladies hear me? Nadia, you still there?
It's Rachel. Just testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Great.
Thanks. Good.
Did you want to
I'm also here.
Say anything, or you're just letting me know you're there? Oh, nice. Feel free, ladies. I feel very lonely being the only one talking this whole thing.
I'm also here.
Okay. Okay, great. Any questions, discussion, anything unclear? Nadia, Rachel, Judith, we're good?
At the end I'll tell you something that I want to tell you, but I won't interrupt the flow right now.
Okay.
I wrote it down.
Okay, great. Okay. Thanks, Nadia. Okay. So any other questions before I go forward? We're good? If anything is unclear, I don't mind if you ask me now, because I don't want to go forward if anything's unclear. Otherwise, I'm happy.
No, it's not unclear. It's more like a cool aspect that I want to add.
Oh, okay. So we'll do that. Great. So I'm going to send out an email saying pretty much what I did for a previous class is I spelled out very in great detail, so to speak, the different shitas, I guess is the way of saying it, of what does it mean knowing Hashem, right? So I'm not going to go through that all right now because I'm going to just give it to you in a document. In that document, you'll see, right, from the different shitas that I present, that the main shita that we're going to be focusing in on is this approach of knowing Hashem in terms of, as the Sfonim already defined it, as having this God consciousness, right? That the more I'm conscious of, or we'll define it right now, but that I need, before I say that, let's just go through it. Okay, so I am going to send you an email, and please read that document, but I want to, for right now, go through 3 main points of what does it mean to know Hashem, okay? So point number 1 is what I've been drilling into you over and over again, which is this point of Hashem is right here, right now. Right? Hashem is right here, right now. And we did this as like a little bit of an experiment last week, and I think it was a good experiment, and let's just do it again. Hey, everyone, just take a deep breath and just say either to yourself or out loud, Hashem is right here, right now, right? That the more we just say that and the more we feel it, Hashem is right here, right now. We're going to see when we get to the power of speech, just the incredible power just saying things out loud, right, can have on our consciousness, can have on opening our heart. So, you know what, I think, Nadia, you might be having some background noise. So if you don't mind doing a *6.
Devorah Yaffa?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
it's Rachel.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to tell you that I've been using that during the week, and it's really magnificent. It really, saying it out loud really, really helps. Even when I'm walking in the street, I don't care if people think I'm a little crazy, but it really does help.
Oh, wonderful. You've been saying that exact phrase, Hashem is right here, right now?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And it's very, very...
I have to say that again in the name of my teacher, right? I learned how important it is to say things over in the name of your teacher. That was Rab Swirsky. That's his mantra. But, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, now, you know, the more that this das, as we just saw from Yeshayahu, that, fills the earth like the water covers the seabed, the more and more we're going to see people like us walking in the street saying Hashem is right here, right now, right? When you start bumping into people and start doing that out loud, we're really close, right?
Right.
Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you, Rachel.
Right.
Okay, so that's really what we're going to be focusing on most of this workshop on is really getting that clear, right? So I'm going to put that point aside for right now because we're going to be spending a lot of time on that one. So point number 1, Hashem is right here, right now. Point number 2, Hashem is one, which hopefully if I have time I'm going to flush that out more also, right? This idea of Yichud Hashem, which we just saw in the Rambam, that all the purpose of knowledge is to understand the Achdus HaBorei, Yichud Hashem. Point number 3, which I do want to spend a few minutes on right now, is this idea of Hashem is good. Okay, so I'm going to say them again slowly, right? Now, what does it mean knowing God? Hashem is here, Hashem is one, and Hashem is good. Now, the reason I want to zero in specifically on point number 3 right now, this idea of Hashem is good, is I personally think that of all of these 3 points, and again, what do I mean, knowing God? It means, again, I don't know if I showed you this source, but the Nefesh HaChaim says, I can never truly know Hashem and his essence. Right? I can never know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I can never know, I can't, there's not even words to describe it. I can't go there. My mind can't understand Hashem in the infinite, right, omnipotent, omnipresent. There's not even words to describe it. Hashem in his essence, in his absolute atzmus, right? We can't go there. Yeah, but what? But I can know Hashem to the degree that Hashem reveals to us that he wants a relationship with us. Yeah, Hashem, through the Torah, through creating the whole world, revealed to us that he wants to be in a relationship with us. So while I can't know Hashem in the unknowable sense of knowing Hashem, I can know Hashem in the sense of that Hashem wants to have a relationship with me, right? So in that realm, these are the 3 main points that we have to always know, right? Again, Hashem is here, Hashem is one, and Hashem is good. And did I get bumped off? Did somebody else have to hang up? You ladies still hear me? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, we're still here.
Okay, great. So why do I want to point out, why do I want to zero in on this Hashem is good? Because I think personally of all these 3 points, this one's the hardest. Yeah, because what do I mean? Because, okay, so, if you tell me enough times Hashem is right here, right now, okay, I can buy into that. And, you want to get deep and philosophical on me, Hashem is one. Okay, fine, I can even buy that, right? But the Hashem is good, right? I think that's the one, I'll just speak for myself, that we often struggle with, and particularly with everything that's going on in Eretz Yisrael the last few weeks and especially the last couple weeks, right? This one, Hashem is good. Hashem is good. Everything Hashem does is for the good. Whoa, that's hard, right? When people are like stabbed to death and hacked to death and shot while in talis and tefillin, that's a hard one. Yeah. So I was discussing this with my chavrusa just on Shabbos, this whole idea of how can we, and again, we have to know this. This is part of knowing God, right? To know God is to trust God, is to trust that everything Hashem does is for the good. So I was asking my chavrusa and I, we were discussing, we're learning Devorah on Shabbos, and we were talking, how does one at the one time know that? And at the same time, like, we feel pain. This is really painful what Klal Yisrael is going through right now. So we're talking about this question back and forth on Shabbos. And again, I'm telling you, when you plug into this avoda, you'll begin to experience incredible siyata d'shmaya. I'm having this conversation with my chavrusa on Shabbos, just past Shabbos. I kid you not. And I'm saying, Deb, how do we possibly, how can I know that Hashem is good and also at the same time feel the pain of everything that's going on around me, to me, whatever? And the next morning I opened my email, and Rabbi Tuvia Heller, who's Rabbi Schwartz's assistant, right, his main Talmud, he sends me this article. He says, I think we should send this out to the Bilvavi Chabur. What do you think? And it's Rabbi Schwartz it's an English translation of Rabbi Schwartz answering this question, this exact question of how do you reconcile what your mind and your heart, they seem to be going in 2 different directions. How do you reconcile that? The next morning, it's like, whoa, that's intense. It's from volume 9 of Devorah in the Hebrew. I'm still in volume 2. So I don't know when I'm going to get to volume 9. I would never have found it. Right? But Reb Heller, Reb Tuvia, he sent this to me, and I posted it on my website. And if you go to, on the homepage where I have Rabbi Schwartz's shir on the avoda of Kislev, you can access this. It's basically it's the closest thing we can get to at this point of Rabbi Schwartz, Devorah, telling us how can we make sense of what's going on right now. Yeah, and so rather than me going through it, just read it. It's so powerful. But again, so this question of, Hashem is good. So I have to know that, even though it hurts, even though I don't understand all the time, even though it's painful. And the way he describes it, he says, truly both are true. You can know one thing in your mind and your heart can feel something else. And that's fine. And how to live with that, so to speak, with that paradox. That's really what he's describing. And so how do we know Hashem is good? Where do we know that Hashem is good? Where in the Torah do we know that Hashem is good? Anyone want to throw out an idea? Where does the Chumash tell us that Hashem is good? Or I'll give you a bigger hint. Where does Hashem tell us that Hashem is good?
In Bereshis, no? When he created the world. No?
Oh, he says the world is good. Right? The world is good, Kitov.
Yeah.
Right? The world, the creation was good. But where does it say, where does Hashem tell us, describe, so to speak, himself? Yeah, I'll give you a hint. Moshe, and it's in Parshas Kisisa. And what happens in Parshas Kisisa, right? The whole Chet HaEgel. Yeah. And if you remember, right, so after Chet HaEgel, right, so Hashem, he's had it with the Jewish people. He's like, I've had it with you guys, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu, he's begging Hashem for forgiveness and to forgive the Jewish people. And, finally, I don't want to go, we're all familiar with the story back and forth. I don't want to go through it right now. But the main point I want to zero in on is after, so to speak, Hashem is appeased through Moshe's tefillas, right? So Moshe is having this extremely powerful experience with Hashem. It says he's in like the cleft of a rock, and he says, Hashem, I want to know you, right? Again, there's this I want to know you, right? I want to know you. Now, who knew Hashem better than Moshe Rabbeinu, right? But he says, I want to know you, panim al panim. I want to know you face to face. Yeah? Rachel, you still there?
Yep, I am.
Okay, great. I'm sorry if I'm paranoid, but you have no idea how many classes I would be teaching.
Oh, talking to yourself.
It's the worst, where you're just like, nobody's there, and you don't even know that you're talking to the air. Anyway. So you're with me? So Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, Hashem, I want to know you. So what does Hashem answer? Do you remember?
Well, he says, you can't know my face, you can only know my, my back.
Right, exactly. And what does he teach Moshe there? He teaches Moshe Rabbeinu the Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim. Right? It's right in that place where Hashem says, right? He teaches them Kal Rachum, V'Chanun, V'Erech Hapayim, V'Rav Chesed, Chole V'Chole. Right? You teach Klal Yisrael the Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim. Right? And again, it's not an incantation. It's not, we say this and like poof, Superman swoops down. You have to really mean it, right? But when he says, this is the makor of Yeshua, right? You want to know who Hashem is? I'm going to tell you. Kal Rachum v'Chanun v'Erech Hapayim v'Rav Chesed. Hashem is telling us, I am all merciful, right? This is who I am. Kal Rachum v'Chanun v'Erech Hapayim v'Rav Chesed. This is who I am, right? And when you invoke these Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim, you experience Yeshuos. That's what Hashem is answering Moshe Rabbeinu, right? So Hashem tells us He's good, right? That's one place. Now another place, another very powerful place, is also in a conversation with Moshe Rabbeinu. When Moshe is first sent, right, on his mission to go down to Mitzrayim, right? So when he encounters, right, the Hashem at the burning bush, and they're having this conversation, and Hashem says to Moshe, go down, and Moshe says, well, who shall I say sent me? Right? Again, who are you? He asks him, what is your name? Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I want to know you. What is your name? Does anyone know what Hashem says his name? Tell him so-and-so sent you.
That I always was, is, and will be.
Hmm?
That Hashem says I always was, am, and will be.
Right.
No?
Well, he says I will be sent you. Yeah, Ekie.
Ekie,
right. Ekie, right, excellent. Right, so he says, tell them, Ekia Asher Ekia sent you. Now that's interesting, right? Ekia Asher Ekia. What does that mean? Yeah? So I want to share with you actually a beautiful Nefesh HaChaim. What does it mean, Ekia Asher Ekia? So I want to turn now to your next source. I think we're at the source number 4 on your source sheet from the Nefesh HaChaim. Are you ladies familiar with the Nefesh HaChaim? Does everyone know who that is? The Nefesh HaChaim was written by Rav Chaim of Volozhin, who was the main Talmud of the Vilna Gaon. And the Volozhiner yeshiva was considered, so to speak, the father yeshiva of the Litvak yeshiva world in Volozhin. And the Nefesh HaChaim was recently translated into English. I've had the tremendous pleasure and privilege of learning the Sefer with Reb Tzadok Cable for going on 2 years now. And if any of you ladies, he's totally willing to start from the beginning with any group who want to learn the Sefer with him. And it's so unbelievably mind-blowing, powerful. So I want to read to you now the Nefesh Chaim is going to explain to us, what does this mean, Ekia Asher Ekia? And again, we're answering the question, where do we know in the Torah that this idea of Hashem is good, right? How do we know Hashem is good? And if Hashem is good, so why don't I experience Hashem is good? Why don't I experience all this goodness in my life? Yeah, so someone have the source in front of them? I'm reading from Nefesh Chaim, or it says Hashem Silcha. Yeah? Okay, I'm going to read slowly. And if you can follow along, great. Okay, so here he's going to explain what this means. V'ken Mefarish b'Midrash. Okay, this is a Midrash. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe. Okay, so again, he's going through in the Midrash, what's this conversation between Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem? Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe, lech emor lehem leYisrael ki shmi Ekia Asher Ekia. Right? Go to the children of Israel and tell them my name is Ekia Asher Ekia. So what does that mean? Mahu Ekia Asher Ekia. Yeah, what does that mean? So what does the Midrash say? It means, Kashem she'ata hoveh imi, kach ani hoveh imach. Yeah, I'll translate that in a second. Dechen Amar David, right? And it says also in Tehillim, Hashem silcha al yad yaminecha. Okay, so what does this mean? Kashem she'ata hoveh imi, kach ani hoveh imach. Hashem silcha al yad yaminecha. What the Midrash is pointing us to here is a very unbelievably, this is again one of these profound principles that if we internalize this, it will transform our lives. What the Midrash is saying here is, according to the name that you give me, that's how I will be towards you. In other words, based on whatever attitude you have towards me, that's what I will reflect back to you. Yeah? And that's also this idea of Hashem Silcha. What does it mean, Silcha? Hashem is your shadow. What is a shadow? Right? A shadow doesn't, move on its own. It doesn't have any sort of, ability, independence to move around on its own. It shadows. If I move my arms, so the shadow follows me. I move my legs, the shadow follows me. Right? So Hashem, in his infinite tzimtzum, his infinite ability to be mitzamtzem himself, he's saying, I'm going to shadow you. Meaning what? That the way I act is totally going to draw down the response from Hashem. Okay, I want to keep going inside, and then we'll talk about this a little more. So skip down, if you ladies have the source in front of you, where I skip down to the next paragraph where I have it in brackets, where it says Bo. Yeah? And if you don't have it, please look up the source afterwards, because, again, this is so beautiful. You have to see this inside. So the Nefesh Chaim continues. Bo ura'eh, olam hatachton omed lekabel tamid bechulei. Okay, so what does that mean? Come and see, right? That the lower world stands and receives always. Yeah, what does that mean? Olam ha'elyon eino noten ela kafi shehu omed. Right, and the upper world, right, doesn't give except according to the way one stands. What does that mean, Kafisha hu omed, the way one stands? And underline this. I think I did underline it, but underline it again. Im hu omed baharat panim milamata, az kach merim lo milamala. Right, if one stands, right, with his face, right, with a harat panim. What does it mean, harat panim? With an illuminated face, right, or a harat panim. I don't know. Somebody translate harat panim. Somebody stands with his face, right, facing upwards, right. So then it will shine down upon him from above, right. Me'irim lo milamala. Ve'im hu omed ba'atzvus, right, and if one stands ba'atzvus in sadness, Notnim lo din ze kenegdo. Right? So if one is sad, so then again, Kishem shataho ve'imi kachani ve'imach, right? So then it's going to reflect back down on him, right? Din kenegdo, like kilo mida keneged mido. Ka'ain ze ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, right? This is what it means. Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with simcha. Ki simcha sa'adam mosheches alav simcha acheret elyona. Okay, because when one is the simcha, right, the simcha of a person Moshechet, it draws down, right? A simcha acheres elyona. It draws down upon him a higher degree of simcha from above. Right? Kach gam alam hatachton hazeh, kamo shemit'orer, kach hu moshech milamala v'chulei. Okay? So too, this lower world, right, that according to the way, right, that we arouse ourselves from below, hu moshech milamala, he draws down from above. Yeah, it's I had to share that with you. So again, Hashem is good. So if Hashem is good, so then why don't I experience my life as good? Like why? Like what's going on here? I think I said this in the very beginning, that the block is not in Hashem's ability to give. The block must somewhere be in my ability to receive. So one of the blocks that this Nefesh HaChaim and the Ekia Asher Ekia is pointing us to is that if you're not experiencing goodness in your life, so the first thing you need to do is you need to identify, like, what's my attitude towards Hashem? Because right? According to the attitude that I have towards Him, that's what He's going to reflect back to me. So, for instance, the Jews, when they were in the desert, right, the whole shorish, the whole root of the whole Tisha B'Av, and all of the suffering and all of the pain of all of the millennium and the pain and the suffering that we're experiencing, ad achshav, is from one sentence in Devorah, right, where the Jews say to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's because Hashem hates us. Halila, Hashem hates us. He took us out of the land of Egypt. Right? Like, can you imagine? Like, after everything that the Jewish people experienced, and they said because Hashem hates us, that's why He took us out of Mitzrayim to die, to kill us here in the desert. Yeah, but it was that feeling that they had of Hashem hates me, right? Or Hashem, or if we've ever felt in our lives, Hashem's not listening to me, or another big one that I've certainly bumped up against, like I'm not worthy, or who am I that Hashem should like pay any attention to me? Like Hashem really cares, like what I do. I think I gave you the example last week when I was talking with Leslie in the question and answer, like Hashem so cares about my life that He shut down all the electricity in my yeshiva so that I wouldn't go on my computer. Like of course Hashem cares about me, right? But I'm only going to experience that closeness, that wow, Hashem, like you're really right here, right now. I'm only going to really experience that if that's what I'm shining back. If I'm Pona Lamala, right? Remember we saw again from Rav Wolbe that how you get that das, he says, Histaklus Lamala, right? That when you look up, when you bring Hashem into the picture, or in the example I gave you earlier, you look inside and you look for Hashem inside you to yourself, right? When you look up or you look in, wherever it is that you're looking to Hashem, right? That's what causes the hit'orus milamala. Right? If you're not experiencing that Hashem is good, then the first thing you have to examine is, well, so maybe I'm not projecting the right attitude, right? Maybe I am projecting an attitude of, this isn't coming to me, or I'm not worthy, or, like Hashem, you're not really paying attention to me, you're angry with me, all of the crazy things that our Yetzer Hara will also convince us of, right, is this example of Ekia Asher Ekia. Yeah, is that clear? I just thought it was really, really powerful. Now, I want to just say a caveat, which again is, well, okay, so that's fine, but still, how do you explain, all the horrific things that are going on in the world right now? So that is a very deep question, which I'm not sure how much I want to go into right now. But I'll just in case somebody is going to throw that out, I'll preempt it by saying that there's two ways, so to speak, that Hashem runs the world. Right? The Das Tfunis, the Ramchal brings us out in Das Tfunis. He calls it the Hanhaga HaMishpat and Hanhaga HaYichud. Right, so what we just described from the Nefesh HaChaim, this Mida Keneged Mida, the way that I act towards Hashem, that's the way Hashem will act back towards me. That's the Hanhaga HaMishpat, right? Meaning that's more of this Mida Keneged Mida, and as my teacher Rabbi Niven would say, he he employs this 95%, 5% rule that he likes to use. One could say that 95% of the time that this Nefesh HaChaim principle works. Yeah, that if I reflect a simchadik, a munadik, attitude, life is good, Hashem loves me, if I'm constantly, projecting and beaming that energy, that's how I'm going to experience my life. And 95% of the time that's true, right? But then, of course, you do have the 5% of these tzaddikim who, of course, like having dvekas and davening and talis and tefillin, like you can't get a closer dvekas than that, So why in the world, So again, so in this Hanhaga Hayichud, there are certain times where Hashem does certain things in the world because He needs to catapult us forward. Right, that there's things like we're really close now. We are so close to Yemot HaMashiach. We are so close to the Kates that things are just speeding up now. Yeah, that there's things that have to happen, whether it be sometimes in our own individual lives. Like sometimes, I could have the most optimistic attitude. I could be, totally lovesick and doing everything that Hashem is saying to do, and I could still be experiencing intense Yisurim. And that's from the Hanhaga Hayichud. Hashem is just trying to jump you forward in a way that sort of supersedes this Ekia Asher Ekia way. I just want to say that just so we're aware of it. But still, having said that, 95% of the time we can certainly invoke this principle. And even in those 5% of the times where I'm doing, I'm definitely projecting a positive attitude and I don't feel this harat panim coming back to me, right? But if I can still, even in the Yisurim, I can still say, Hashem, I know you love me, and I know this is good, and I know you're one, and I know you're here, right? And I can still totally internalize and feel and connect to those ideas, and certainly it'll soften the Yisurim. That much I think is fair to say. Yeah, anyone want to argue with me on that or discuss that further? Good? Yeah? Comments? Questions? No? Okay. No. So, yeah? Okay. So I think I'm going to pause it there. Next week we'll talk more about this idea of what does it mean Hashem is one, or Yichud Hashem, or as we're going to come to call Ein Od Milvado consciousness. But again, what I want to just leave us with tonight is, again, what does it mean if you really want to love Hashem, right? To love Hashem is to know Hashem. What does it mean to know Hashem? It's to know Hashem is right here, right now. It's to know that Hashem is one, which we're going to define more clearly next week. And it's to know that Hashem is good, right? That no matter what is going on, whether it's in my life, whether it's in the lives around me, it's to know God is to trust God. If I really know Hashem, I trust you, Hashem. I trust you, even if I don't understand, right? And if you read the piece from Dolvavi, he says, sometimes it's just things are beyond our das, right? That sometimes we just cry because we don't understand. It's so beyond our das, right? But even if it's beyond our das, I still have to know at the end of the day, Hashem, I trust you. I know this is coming from a place of goodness. I don't understand, right? My sechel I can't go there. Yeah, but I know that you're good, and I know everything you're doing is for the good. And with that attitude, please God, the more we know that and we feel that in our minds and in our hearts, and we reflect that back, Hashem Silcha Yad Yaminecha, and yes, Hashem will experience more and more goodness in our lives as individuals and as a nation, and everyone who needs a refuah will have a refuah, and everyone who's injured will be healed. And in Yirtzeh Hashem, we'll continue to experience more and more of this goodness going forward. Okay, I'm officially ending the class because I promised I'd try to keep it to an hour and a quarter, but I am happy to continue if anyone has any questions or comments going forward. So if anyone has to go, the official time has finished, but as we did last week, we hung out for another half an hour, and I don't know if I can do a half an hour, but I could do another 15 minutes or so. So, Nadia, are you still there? Nadia, did you have to go, or are you still there? Do a star 6?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I thought I was unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question and I have a comment.
Okay, great.
My question is, when we talk about projecting up to Hashem and Hashem reflecting it back down, normally, so that makes sense to me. And also it makes sense that Hashem projects down to us and we reflect back to him.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to know who starts the circuit?
Yeah, and like when is each happening?
Right. That's a great question. One answer I can give you is, I didn't bring this up, but you know, I just mentioned just now that there's these idea of two hanhagas, the way Hashem runs the world. Another way that it's expressed is the Vilna Gaon describes it. He calls it there's the hanhaga of Leah Menu and the hanhaga of Rachel Menu. Right? That sometimes Hashem runs the world in this way of Leah, and sometimes Hashem runs this world in the way of Rachel. So what does that mean? And the distinction that at least the Gra is making is in terms of that Yaakov had to work 7 years for Rachel, right? He had to put in effort. You know, again, he initiated. He was working for her, yeah. Whereas Leah was, so to speak, you know, plopped down, nice surprise, yeah. And so these two hanhagas, so sometimes so really the answer is both, right? That Hashem really runs the world in both ways depending on the time of year. There's some times of the year where we initiate. After the piece from the Vilna Gaon, he's talking about Hanukkah, right? That the time period we're coming upon right now, Hanukkah, he describes as a Rachel Menu time of the year. And to understand why, listen to my Hanukkah class. I don't want to go through it all right now. But what does that mean? That there's certain times of the year where we put in the effort, yeah, and then there's other times of the year, like, for instance, Pesach, like Seder night, where Hashem is just blasting from above, yeah. You could say Yom Tov, you know, is Hashem's effort. Shabbos is from us, from Klal Yisrael, and Shabbos is Hashem. You know, different examples like that. Elul is Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, and then, you know, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is much more Dodi Li, right? So it goes back. Really, the answer is it goes back and forth. Is that what you were asking, or were you asking something deeper than that?
That's
you want to know, like, when to, like, how to know which mode to go into, or?
Well, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking that I totally agree that we should look at, like, examine what our projection is about what Hashem. I totally agree with that. And then on the other hand, if something's very challenging for us, and we're openly saying, Hashem, I'm, like, totally angry about this. So you're projecting anger. And what are you receiving? Love? Like, so in that way, it's not necessarily the same projection or reflection, I think.
It's not the same. What was the last thing you said?
I'm wondering if in that way he's not projecting anger back. If I'm angry at him, he's not projecting anger back. He's projecting love.
Right. Well, Hashem's love is always unconditional. Hashem loves. It's not that, you know. And as a parent, I can say, you know, we can be quote unquote angry at our children, and still love them. In fact, you know, again, what's the anger? Is it a real anger? Is it, you know, just a show of anger? You know, Hashem always. You should never feel that if you're going through a painful experience and you're expressing that pain, that Hashem isn't reflecting back love. Like, Hashem is always reflecting back love. Yeah? But I don't know if that answers your question. But, you know, again, I would point you to Rav Schwartz's article, because he really talks about, like, how is it that I can know one thing in my mind and feel something else in my heart?
Right.
He really addresses that.
So my question was specifically,
yeah.
So I'm going to read that. I already have it pulled up. But my question is about the Vilna Gaon, I think. What he's saying here, that what we project is what gets reflected back to us. So
from the Nefesh Chaim.
So
right.
Is that only to change our attitude
the
to
Nefesh
the
Chaim
good?
did say if I'm sad, he did say that if I'm feeling sadness, again, you have to define. He doesn't talk about anger here specifically, but he does say atzvus. Yeah. So sadness is this feeling of, what is sadness? Sadness is a feeling of call it despair, of helplessness, right? Of Hashem, you're not there for me. Let's say. Yeah. So it could very well be that Hashem will reflect that back to you. In other words, in other words, there's a difference between feeling pain and feeling depressed, right? If I'm feeling like everything is hopeless, and I'm feeling yesh, despair, right? That's the definition of atzvus in Hebrew, right? So that's different from I'm angry, or I'm in pain, or but that feeling, right, there's no place for that in Torah. There's no place for atzvus. Right? There's a place for pain, but there's no place for atzvus, this feeling.
Could I interject for a minute? This is Rachel.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
I was thinking about anger. What is really anger? I think it means that we're upset because things are not going our way. So I'm wondering if there's a place for anger as well.
Well, for sure, because again,
you know what I mean? I'm not. I don't know if there is.
Sure. If you keep going, you're onto something. Keep going.
No, I'm just thinking that.
Why do you get angry?
I mean, what is it means to get angry? It means that we're upset that things are not going our way. I mean, Hashem has His plans and His ways, and I'm not sure that our getting angry is effective in this whole scheme of things.
Right. We're actually going to talk about anger specifically next week when we talk about Eino Novado. I'll show you a beautiful thing that Bilvavi says on anger. But just since you brought it up now, again, anger is again this sense of it's up to me, right? This has to go, as you said, my way. And if it's not going my way, so I've entirely taken Hashem out of the picture. So if I'm going to take Hashem out of the picture, right, and I'm going to project that life, so to speak, without Hashem, well, what is life without Hashem? Life is very arbitrary and very random, and and then you open yourself to all kinds of things. Oh, you wanna project that you think I'm not in control, and life is random and arbitrary. Oh, I'll show you what it's like to experience life as random and arbitrary. Right? Yeah, that's a very scary place to put yourself in. So 100%. I think what Naji was referring to more was just being in a painful situation. Like, where is there a place to just express, pain and sadness? And that's really what Bilvavi is addressing. He talks about three levels of crying, and when it is, when is crying b'chinam and when is it not b'chinam, and he really talks about that. So I want to let him answer that. But this idea of anger or this idea of atzvus, again, they're both entirely taking Hashem out of the picture. And Hashem shall tell ve'imi, kach ani ve'imach, like, you're going to take me out of the picture. So welcome to a life without me in the picture. And it's not going to be pretty. Yeah. Right. I'll give you a great example of this. It's kind of a funny story. But there was I think it was an Erev Shabbos, right, a few months ago, and you ever hear of there's I don't know if it's a chazal, I don't know where it comes from, but this idea of if you don't have any nisyonos for 40 days in a row, look out. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know exactly what the source of that is, but I remember hearing that, and I remember having this conversation with, It's a Rambam?
It's a Rambam on Hilchot Tshuva.
Oh, really? Oh, so you have to tell me where that is. Yeah? You know exactly where it is? You can send me an email?
In Hilchot Tshuva, I'll find out exactly where it is.
Okay. I'd love to know where that is. So I heard this, and I started to panic because, gosh, I don't feel like I've had any, nisyonos. So, maybe Hashem's ignoring me. Maybe he's, again, I think there's, a deeper way of understanding that, and I have actually asked around just to get a better clarity of that. But before I had the clarity of what that really meant, I started to really think, Hashem, I haven't had any nisyonos. You must be ignoring me. What's going on? Right? I'm telling you, I'm having this conversation with my husband. I finished my sentence, right? The second I finished saying that, the phone rings. Yeah, I kid you not. Like a second later, the phone rings, and it's our property manager calling from Beersheba that all of the electricity in we own a Devorah that we rent out in Beersheba, all the electricity got knocked out, right? and now we need to go find an electrician. And then I find out like a couple days later that the tenant that I thought we had in, like he's now leaving, and now we got to find a new tenant, and I'm going to be a month without rent, and blah, 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 blah. And I opened up this huge, horrible Pandora's box.
Yeah, we're never supposed to ask for nisyonos.
Right, but I said it, and again, power of speech. I said, Hashem, like, are you ignoring me? Like, what's going on? I haven't had any nisyonos for, like, at least 40 days. Like, there must be something wrong. The second I said it, Hashem's like, okay, you want nisyonos? Fine, I'll give you nisyonos.
Right.
Yeah? And, like, boom. Like my husband, after I got off the phone, and I told him, he was like, could you please not, say such things like that again? And I did. I totally opened it up. Now, what's the opposite? And there's a whole other way of understanding that Rambam, which I won't go into right now. But what's the opposite? Like, Hashem, you love me. Of course you want my life to be good. Of course you want things to flow. Of course you want me to have menuchas hanefesh. Of course you want me to not only feel this incredible love for you, but you also want me to share it with others and teach others how to have it. And I'm telling you, Bli Ayin Hara, like having that attitude has been a very, useful attitude. And Baruch Hashem, I like my life is gesund. Yeah, Bli Ayin Hara, Bli Ayin Hara. So, what's Bli Ayin Hara? Like, why do we even say Bli Ayin Hara? Like, there's this like independent force out there called Ayin Hara that's going to somehow, like, Hashem loves me. Hashem loves me. Whatever Hashem does is for the good. So even, like, again, I'm not trying to bring upon myself anything, but I see in my own life that just reflected that the moment I had like a safek, the moment I doubted that, so I opened myself up to all kinds of like crazy mishagas. Yeah. So it's, the principle is, again, 95, very much invoke the 95% rule. 95% of the time, at least in my personal life, I see that the kashem shatel ve'ini kach ani ve'emach. Like it really holds true. Yeah. Nadia, did you have another question or?
I was just thinking about the spies that went, the Meraglim that went in, and the two that knew that they had the Yetzer Hara for Lashon Hara or whatever. They prepared themselves, so it makes me think of what we're talking about here. Like, yeah, they recognize that if they're going to project that out, it's going to get reflected back to them, so they have to prepare themselves and like change their attitude.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So hold on to that thought, because when we get to Ratzon, we're going to talk about how important it is to be proactive, 100%. That the more, we're, again, evoking the 95% 5% rule, 95% of the nisyonos in our life we could avoid by being proactive. Because why? Because 95% of the nisyonos, again, when I say nisyonos, I'm talking about like the annoying nuisances in our life. I'm not talking about like halila, the horrific tragedies that these women are going through right now. Right? That's on Hagai Yichud. We can't understand that. That's just pushing us towards Mashiach. And Rav Kanievsky said, it's a kapara right before Mashiach. So, like, that's on a totally different level. But I'm talking about, like Motzei Shabbos, I go into my bathroom and I see my bathtub completely filled with sewage water. It's like the most disgusting thing. Like, so all of the pipes in my house, I don't know, from the sink, from the toilet, it all, like, went into my bathtub. I was like, gross, right? So obviously there's a blockage going on inside of me, right? So anyway, so what was I saying? So that 95% of the time because why does Hashem send us these little nuisances? My tub fills up with water, my dryer breaks, these kinds of nisyonos, right? Because, again, he's trying to get my attention. He's trying to, why did he turn off the electricity? So, he's trying to get my attention. So that if I proactively, exactly like you just said, Caleb and Yeshua, they went to Hebron, they davened, they prepared themselves. If I proactively, because Hashem wants to be in a relationship, so if I'm spacing out and I'm, for whatever reason, not being conscious and not plugging in, Hashem will do these little things, these little, I call them taps on the shoulder, to get my attention, and if I don't get the tap, then it can get stronger and stronger because, Hashem wants the relationship. He wants us to wake up. But if I can proactively make sure every single day I'm plugging into the relationship, then at least what I found in my life, Hashem doesn't have to give me the wake-up calls, at least not in the way he used to. It used to be like, I had some pretty intense wake-up calls, in my life. And I see the more I do the avoda that I haven't gotten to yet, and I promise I will get to, B'ezrat Hashem, that the more I do, the avoda of connecting to and plugging into Hashem from myself, exactly as you just said, like Caleb and Yoshua did, so I avoid so many of these, we'll call them, nuisance wake-up calls in our lives. So 100%, we're going to talk about that. Excellent. Okay. Any other questions, comments? We're good?
Thank you so much. Thank you. This was wonderful.
Okay, thanks. It's so good to hear your voice again. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Be gesund. Take care.
Laila Tov.
Laila Tov.
Thank you, Rachel. Laila Tov.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Laila Tov. Anyone still on? Thank you so much. And
I'm
listening to the recording, we will resume same time next week. Nadia, did you want to ask anything else? I'm still.
If you want to turn off, I don't know if you want to turn off the recording. I was going to tell you
sure.
a quick.
Okay, sure. Hold on one second. Okay, so ladies, same time next week. We'll resume and have a great week. And Nadia, hold on. I'm just going to turn off the tape.